to our New World Chardonnay and Pinot Noir tasting session. Today we'll look at a couple of different Pinot Noirs and Chardonnays from all around the world, obviously starting with Chardonnay. And we are here at Noble, which is probably the best wine bar in the Southern Hemisphere, with its head sommelier Jessica.
Hello.
And as well Stephen, Master of Wine, educator, wine judge and wine journalist. And we are very much looking forward to tasting beautiful Chardonnays from all around the world and see where we go. Yeah, so we start with our first one.
Fantastic. Thanks for having us here.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Cheers.
Wow, what a different set. I'm excited to know what they are.
Always nice to taste wine in such a beautiful glass, so Stephen.
It's so delicate and pretty.
Yeah, aroma is always great to come out of these. Can make such a difference.
Mm.
Yeah.
Lovely cool climate style. Minerality is falling on the nose. It's got this leasiness to it as well. Beautiful restraint.
Yeah, I think it, like the minerality really shows here, and you know, this soft, not softness, but like there's a suppleness, elegance. It's probably still waiting.
Yes, I'm immediately struck by the delicacy of wine, for sure.
Just the right amount of reduction as well, you know,
Yeah.
just that slightly flinty, and it leads the palate with this almost sour lemon peel, phenolic, holds the whole thing together. It's very well put together. It's yeah.
Slightly sort of creamy on the nose as well, even like a macadamia or like a creamy cashew.
Yeah, definitely.
Nose.
Yes.
That leaves is looking beautiful.
Love the palate.
Very delicate sort of underlying savoury character to the wine.
Everything's in place. The oak doesn't stand out. The MLF is really subtle across. It doesn't kind of come across lifestyle or buttery or anything.
Yes.
Really elegant, very, very sort of sleek shape to the wine. Very, very long and driven by acidity. It's such a cool climate, Burgundian-inspired kind of.
Style.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lovely acid drive, good tension to the wine.
Yeah, I think it really keeps going. So it's really straightforward, like in the mouth, so you have this acidity, it gives a nice backbone. At the same time, it's not really full bodied, but there is a lot of weight to it, but
Yes.
it's kind of hidden.
Yeah.
And refreshing at the same time.
Yeah, definitely.
Like that's what this sort of new school and new crop of cool climate Chardonnay producers, like what we have in New Zealand, you know, what they're really diving in. They're kind of trimming all the excess away from the 90s and early 2000s. They've also stepped back a little bit from being overly reductive and focusing on that beautiful lime to the wines, making them drinkable, refreshing, but at the same time also quite cerebral. I think it's a nice balance that we have at the moment.
Yeah. Very true.
Well, sounds great. So, would you like anything to add, or should we move on to number 2?
I think number 2, it would be nice to come back to them and reflect as a whole.
Absolutely. Yeah,
As
at the
a
end we
flight.
come back and do
Yeah.
the whole flight, so
Sure.
leave some out, just, you know.
Yeah. Perfect.
Instantly so much more fruit, like this sunny
Yeah.
yellow fruit character and this waxy tropical kind of edge.
Yeah, riper, warmer, more in the stone fruits and tropical, as you mentioned, Stephen.
You can already see in the color that
Yeah.
they're moving out like, you know, like a golden hue, peachy, like a yellow peach.
This
color.
wine says fiesta. Sorry.
yeah, the fruits are well defined in this wine, although the palate seems still quite restrained. I think there's definitely some time for this wine to develop. More of that waxy kind of coating on the palate.
The structure of everything is more forward.
Yes.
Because the fruit is, as you said, it's sort of more defined, it's bigger, it's got that riper edge to it, there's a softer juiciness and generosity, but it's quite upfront. It's a sort of charming forward style. And then the phenolics, I feel are more present in this wine. They come in a little bit earlier, so it gives it a different kind of minerality.
Yes.
Like a pithiness.
Exactly
to it.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely some more grip on the tongue and the palate. Yeah.
Like a grapefruit pithiness that sort of starts in the mid palate and filters towards the back quite quickly.
Yeah, definitely. It's
Sort of spiced cream, slightly more buttery, fuller style of Chardonnays.
yeah, it's definitely like a warmer climate in comparison to the first one.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think
For sure, yeah.
Again, the oak at this stage is still quite well integrated into the wine, and I think will really just harmonise with some more time in the bottle.
The comparison is a bit like if that first wine was sort of from somewhere, like if we were saying, if we were kind of going back to Burgundy as a reference, which I know you've said none of these much Burgundy, if it were sort of somewhere between Merceau and Polligny, that second wine is a really powerful, like single vineyard style from the Macon, just that.
I was just thinking Macon,
yeah.
I had a specific wine in mind. I wonder if we have the same wine in mind.
I think it's always great how you can see that in the New World. Like often you can make this connection to Burgundy, and maybe it's an inspiration or winemakers involved as well. I mean that's all out there, so now it's a very connected world, I think, which is really interesting.
Absolutely, I would say that there has been a sort of a slight shift in the movement of winemaking. It'd be nice to hear your opinion as well, Stephen, but I feel that there's a lot of inspiration from the Burgundian winemakers who have influenced the style in New Zealand because they're trying to aspire to those styles. Now we're seeing a slight shift where winemakers are referencing Burgundy, but still actually trying to champion and celebrate the New World styles of their wines, just with a little nod to Burgundy rather than trying to make them as similar as in the past. And I feel that there's a bit of a shift.
Yeah, I think exactly as you said, as the winemakers have started to understand their specific climatic conditions, the clones that they have, they're just more confident in taking the bits that are useful to create shape and palate weight, and then letting the fruit of the place express itself. I think the reverse has also started happening quite a bit when we look at producers like Edouard and Eleni Bocoré, Benjamin Leroux. They've brought so many, Denis Carre, they've brought so many New World influences, generally the children who have worked on that to Burgundy, and I actually find sometimes when I'm doing blind tastings for sort of industry purposes, in the educational context, I might not be able to spot the Burgundy easily.
Yeah, it's getting harder and harder.
I think especially the understanding of the terroir in the world also changed profoundly from planting wines on a hillside to there's actually the limestone beneath, and maybe we should choose that hillside for Chardonnay and the other one for Noir. And so I think this also gives an incredible quality boost in the last 5 to 10 years, where this is really driven, and more producers come out with single block wines or single vineyard wines that highlight a certain terroir.
Yes, and you also have examples like Francois Millet down at Prophet's Rock, who is actually still producing a wine. Obviously he is from Burgundy, but he comes over every year, he's consulting, he's making his own wine from a parcel in New Zealand, and so that understanding has become a jewel in both ways, and he's obviously taking knowledge of that back to Burgundy with him. Yeah,
I think this advantage on the Southern Hemisphere is having the 2 seasons available to work with. There's a lot of going back and forth, and then of course, even if you just go to Central Otago or just to Geelong or just to Western Australia, even there's just an influx of international talent, and then ideas move around, definitely.
As I'm going back to that glass, the power that was a little bit hidden in the beginning is really coming across the palate now. It's opening up across that mid palate a little bit more. Number 2, yeah. Interesting. Definitely a good idea to come back and have a look at all the go later.
So, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, let's move on to wine number 3.
Rich, opulent style.
Yes.
Again, very faint reductive note, which is well balanced actually on the nose.
A little bit more chewed phenolics.
Absolutely.
Earlier, I wonder if the octans are playing a bit of a part. There's a bit of a vanillin character to it.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah. Certainly you see more grip across both the palate, the tongue, but also around the gums.
Mm.
I think there's that sort of juxtaposition at the moment between the fruit and the oak tannin.
Yeah.
Certainly the oak seems to be present, but
Yeah. But I'm definitely surprised about the ripeness in this
Oh,
wine. It's
absolutely.
really intense and
Mhm.
I think,
very pleasing. It's still sort of mouth-filling, very generous,
Mhm.
rich, and the finish is dry and savoury, which I like as well. I like the
Yeah.
minerality, how it finishes
Yeah.
in this wine.
It's interesting. The fruit, it's not exactly warm, but it's not truly cool climate either. It doesn't
Mm.
really have the acidity and the sort of twist of lemon and apple that I expect from a cool climate. It's more that melony kind of, I don't know, I keep getting melon wine gums kind of
Yeah,
flavor to
yeah,
it. There's
definitely.
a sappiness
Yeah.
to it.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's a particular clonal selection that's giving it this real sappy palate.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I think especially like clonal selection in the New World is also one of the things that really
Mm-hmm.
shines through now with very different clones having been around or
Yeah.
sometimes even
Yep.
unaware of what's in the vineyard, and now many wine growers are very particular about what they
That's
grow
right.
and how they grow it, yeah.
Yeah, like the sort of Gingin clone that you find in South Australia, Western Australia, and the Mendoza clone in New Zealand, those are the ones that tend to jump out in a blind tasting and give you a bit of confidence to call something out.
That's right.
Yeah.
I think that it's interesting. This is the first wine where I think I feel like the oak actually makes a statement in the wine,
Yes.
and that takes it in a different direction. It's not overdone. I mean, there's a lot of polish to the oak.
Absolutely, yeah. Fine grained. I would still say it's French oak, but has more of absolutely more of an influence, a powerful statement on the wine. You do see those softer baking spice notes, sort of the nutmeg, cinnamon, more of the sweeter spice, a little bit of walnut skin.
I think they marry very well with the ripe fruit in there,
Yeah.
so you have like
Very delicate.
even like a cooked peach
Mhm.
sort of thing with some cinnamon in it. It's really
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a very good
Yeah.
call out actually. Now that's all it tastes.
We should have a little peach tart on the side.
Yeah, right.
Something
So-
to nibble.
if you go for pairings,
Yeah.
different kind of fruits. Yeah. So last but not least,
Fabulous.
wine number 4.
Oh,
Lovely golden hue to this wine.
Yeah, absolutely.
it smells like it's a bit more developed.
Yes, it does come with a little more of bottle age, which we are very fortunate, I think.
Good concentration on the nose. Lovely
Yeah.
depth already.
But as they probably all now finding, like aged wines in the New World can be quite difficult, especially for the boutique producers who have so small vineyards in a location that often they even run out of the current vintage, and it's really hard to even get a recent release.
Yes. Yeah.
It's a very savory, biscuity, oatmeal cookie kind of.
I like that oatmeal. Yeah. Into ginger, Stephen?
Mm. So it's funny when we kind of think about hint of ginger, especially in Chardonnay, because our mind always flies to, oh, is it a bit of botrytis in there, you know?
Yeah.
Which is, you know, it's a thing. Like, Chablis really might have bits of botrytis in there, although New World producers seem to be absolutely frightened by the
Yes.
prospect.
Not so much.
Yeah, but also the ginger, I think marries very well with the biscuity and you know, it's like a candied ginger kind of thing, so which really goes nice into that also a bit fuller style of wine.
Wow, beautifully complex wine. You can really see through the layers. The fruit is ripe. there's a density without being heavy, but also then you see those tertiary, the bottle development notes. Slightly honeyed, but I mean honeyed in terms of the fruit component is honeyed, not the actual wine itself. Yeah, lovely shape to the wine.
I think they may be a little bit of contrast towards, because as you pointed out, it's gone towards that Manuka honey kind of edge to it. It's a generous mouth coating. It's a terrible tasting note, but it coats the entire inside of your mouth.
It does, yeah. I would say there's a lusciousness to it.
This would get stopped at the border. After what we're talking about, sorry.
Yes.
It's a joke.
Yeah. No, I think it's really, the development is already showing extremely well, but I think it still has plenty of drive to go on.
And plenty of time, yes, absolutely. Yeah, it's in a peak of drinkability, very much in a stage of early development, so a few years ahead of it for sure.
Yeah, definitely enjoyable now.
Yeah.
Yeah. The back palate is now focused on just holding on to what essentially there was. It's not a particularly cool climate for me. It's kind of moved to that front palate where, depending on your personal preferences, this is either the perfect time to drink it, or if you actually want that honey to get even more intense, holding them for a few more. But it is just a touch drying out for me on the sides of the mouth now, where if you want a little bit more freshness in the wine, I would probably start drinking it over the next couple of years.
Towards the back rather than the front. Yeah.
Yeah. It makes me really want to go and have a look at that first wine again, which
Yeah.
feels like the total opposite place in the
Yes.
world, right? It's so restrained. It's like quite floral now after these fruit-driven and
Salty, spicy wines, definitely. Cheers.
Cheers to you. Yeah, definitely those beautiful white florals. We'll have honeysuckle.
Yeah, honeysuckle, maybe some jasmine. It's really nice and elegant. I think elegance is really something, and delicateness that comes to mind when I talk about wine number one.
It's interesting when you look at the structure of the acidity and how it expresses itself. That's where you can see climate the most clearly. I'm probably going to be totally wrong, but like this really comes across like the coolest spot, the coolest vineyard, the most restrained and the most sort of fresh acidity to it. It is also quite underballed and quite young, but yeah, the detail and lightness is lovely. It's all happening on the back palate.
Yeah.
Because it depends on what you want. Like a bit more power, a bit more like this is so drinkable right now. This is just elegant and backward and this driving acidity.
And you just want to keep coming back to it to see how it's going to blossom.
Yeah,
This is in the very early stages. Yeah.
Between 2 and 3, are you? What's drawing you more, like that sort of warmer climate, riper fruit in 2, or the sort of more generous, I guess, creamier style of 3? I can't quite decide.
They're both intriguing, actually. I think I'm more drawn on the nose to 2, where they sit now. 3 is making me think about different foods, and I think this wine will work very well with food in its current stage. I think, but 2 for me is, it's really intriguing at the moment.
It's possibly the most powerful of the 4 wines,
Yeah.
huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like
Although number 4 does have
Yeah,
weight as well.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
It's just no longer in reserve. It's no longer hiding.
That is true, yeah.
Absolutely delicious.
I think there's such beauty in the diversity in the New World that is often when you're back in Europe hard to find or hard to source, but many of these wines are really stand up to Burgundy or to the old world
Yeah.
in general.
Yeah, I can actually think of producers in Burgundy that are making these three styles, which is
Wines in this style, yeah, of course.
Isn't it just something so lovely about getting a wine that is ready now with that development where it's so musky and perfumed and sort of really just coming out of the glass. It's every time you stick your nose back in the glass, it gives you something different.
Something new.
Yeah, all these layers of tertiary development
Mm-hmm.
that marry the oak as well, so it's very complex, changing
It is,
perspective all the time.
Yeah.
Nutty and savoury,
Yeah.
cooked mushroom kind of.
Yeah,
mushroom
we're just
tart.
getting mushroom now. That's a new little flavour profile.
Some white truffle-ness coming
So
through.
interesting.
Yeah.
So, do you want to do any educated guesses, or should
Oh
we
my
just?
goodness.
You don't have to. No worries.
There's a New Zealand wine in there, isn't there?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I would probably go New Zealand on the first one.
Yeah, I think so.
I was specifically looking for that modern style of Australian in here somewhere, you know, the one that's quite restrained and quite lean and minimal oak, quite reductive. And I didn't actually see a classic Australian style in here for me, oddly enough. But if I was two kind of feels a little bit more in that Margaret River style of Chardonnay for me, just because the acidity is not quite as pronounced.
Yeah, you can see, I think, that now the styles are really like changing in the world. So happy to do the review now.
Oh yeah,
Oh, please
please.
do.
So
yeah.
for the first wine, we actually having a Western Australia Chardonnay,
Wow.
which is the art series Chardonnay from Neuen Welt.
Really? It's so
Yes.
not as oaky as I remember the wine to be.
That
That's
style has really
interesting.
changed, hasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. So my enduring memory of Neuen Estate is walking into the barrel hall and being told there's $1 million Australian dollars worth of wine barrels.
Probably
Stacked
still
up on
is,
the side,
but
yeah.
yeah.
Interesting.
Fabulous.
It's cool. What vintage is that?
Yeah, really vintage.
2020.
That looks excellent.
Ah.
Yeah. Beautiful wine.
And then the second one is actually the High Dividend from California, Napa Valley.
Okay.
So you do
Well
have
done. No, absolutely.
so we do have these pronounced fruit aromas from the wine.
That's sure.
Yeah.
So wine number 3, when I tasted it, was for me one of the, and I tasted it knowing what I was expecting, but I did not expect it.
Oh, I see.
So wine number 3 is from New Zealand,
Oh, wow.
and it's a Dry River Chardonnay from 2020.
Ah, interesting. Yeah, there's been a change of style.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Still under Wilco,
Mm-hmm.
but I think
Yeah.
he now uses stocking barrels as well. That might be.
Yeah, there's a level of honeyed sweetness to it, which I think earlier Chardonnays didn't have.
Yes.
Yeah, there was like a real tightness and leanness to those early
Yeah.
wines. Yeah. Interesting.
And then, last but not least, we are back in Australia. So wine number 4 is from Gippsland, and
Oh, I see.
it's a Bass Fillet Premium Chardonnay
Wow,
from
what a
17.
treat!
Yeah.
Thank you. Jeez. So what vintage was that again? You said?
17.
17.
So I think already quite advanced.
Yeah, interesting. But yeah. I think I was expecting something a little bit older than that.
Yeah, same. Probably more like a 13 or 14, I would say. But yeah, it's looking excellent.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Love any opportunity to taste basket.
It's funny when you, I know this is the power of suggestion, but when you go back to that Dry River wine now,
Yeah.
there's such a Dry River aromatic whites quality about it.
If you think about the Gewürztraminer,
Yeah.
or the Riesling, or the Pinot Gris especially,
Yeah.
yeah, directly relates back to their overall style of white wines.
Yeah. Isn't that interesting? It sort of transcends the variety.
But I'm very pleasantly surprised with Neuen Estate how the style has changed to be so pure fruited and elegant.
I mean, there's still a lot of
Yes.
new oak in there, but I think it's very well integrated
Yes.
and very
So
fine-tuned.
even in the empty glass now, it still has fruit sitting alongside the oak. It's
Yeah,
interesting,
yeah.
isn't it?
And very fresh food as well.
Yeah. You did talk about the freshness of acidity that you can get in Western Australia, and I think that really comes through in this particular vintage.
Wonderful.
Thank you
So
very much.
I hope you enjoyed
Yeah.
our first
Always
flight.
illuminating.
Chardonnays, yeah,
Right.
from all around the world. And yeah, short break, and we're back with Pinot Noir.
Thank
Thank you.
Thank you.